Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of DraftKings Fantasy Football Picks here on the Jamie Hinks Fantasy Football Network. I'm Jamie Hinks, of course, and I'll be going through my 8-man lineup for this Saturday's slate of Premier League games. There's 7 games on this slate. We'll be getting the ones that are from 3 o'clock onwards because that's where the biggest contests are, and we'll be missing out that Manchester United game. So with no further ado, let's get straight into my lineup. So you'll have to forgive me for the lack of graphics this week. I haven't had time to put those together, but here's my lineup anyway. In goal, first off, I've gone Kasper Schmeichel of Leicester City, $5,300 on DraftKings. He's got a lovely little 6.8 fantasy points per game this season, but I'm looking at the games that he's recently had. That game against Seville, he was absolutely incredible. He made some excellent saves for the Foxes there. I thought he was the main reason that they've even got a chance in that second leg. Of course, another reason they've got a chance is because they've got rid of Claudio Ranieri. That we don't really need to go into now. But Schmeichel again had another good game against Liverpool on Monday night, where Leicester got out of the relegation zone at the expense of Crystal Palace. 3-1 win. Schmeichel, I think he had around 5 or 6 saves in that game. He's had over 5 saves in 3 of his last 4 games for Leicester. And I think he looks really good in this spot. I expect Leicester to win this game against Hull, get revenge for that first game of the season loss. And if you get Schmeichel in, I think win clean sheet, you've got them easy. So in defence, I've gone for a little bit of a controversial one. I've gone for Wes Morgan, who's $3,200 on DraftKings. I've got him in just to give me a bit of cash elsewhere in my team. But if you look at Morgan in this game, Hull have actually conceded 9 headed goals already this season. I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester keep a clean sheet here. That's another 3 points. Morgan gets you a goal. I think he's more likely to do that than Huth. If you look at last season, he chipped in with a couple of goals towards the end of the campaign. And I'm taking Morgan as a little bit of a gamble this week. Just to give me a bit of differentiation, especially if I was in a bigger contest. In smaller ones, I'd probably go for someone a little bit safer in a cash game. But Morgan, I don't think it's the worst pick in the world. So alongside him, I've gone for one of my favourite defenders on the whole of DraftKings Fantasy Football. It's Cedric Soares of Southampton, $5,300. This is going to be a tight game for Southampton. I think they did very, very well against Manchester United last weekend. Of course, they absolutely battered Sunderland recently, courtesy of a couple of goals from Gabbiadini. But I think this will be tighter away at Watford. It's not the easiest place in the world to go, but there will be goals. Neither team can keep clean sheets at the moment. Southampton look good here for to get Soares to get forward. Basically, he's had 8 crosses in I think each of the last couple of games. He also averages 2.8 tackles per game, which is one of the best among all the defenders in the Premier League. I think you get Soares in and you've got guaranteed points. So heading into the midfield, and I've got one of the form players in the Premier League right now and in the season as a whole, Gylfi Sigurdsson, who's $9,300 this week. He's in a great spot at home to Burnley. I can't stress that enough. Burnley, they got a draw last week at Hull, but that's not the toughest of places to go. And in all honesty, they were quite lucky that Hull was so bad in front of goal. Sigurdsson this week, he's guaranteed points. Got an assist last week at Chelsea, which is pretty much the hardest place in the whole league to go and get anything. He got the assist in that game, where Swansea didn't look out of place. If you look at Sigurdsson's form for the season as a whole, it's 9 assists. The only person who has better is Christian Eriksen. De Bruyne is also alongside him on 9. But I just think he's guaranteed points this week. I think he'll be very, very highly owned, but that's for good reason. So for my next midfielder, I've been wanting to pick this guy for so long because he wasn't starting for ages. It's Andros Townsend, of course, $6,700 from my boys Crystal Palace. Palace finally got a win last week, but Townsend wasn't involved in the goal. Hasn't been involved in many goals at all this season, but he still managed to keep an average of 10.7 fantasy points per game. And you can see that Big Sam has started to believe in the England midfielder. He's getting back on those crosses, which we know Townsend loves to do. And he's getting points for fantasy teams along the way as well. He also has shots. He'll have to make tackles because he's having to track back in this Allardyce system, especially in an away game at West Brom where he could get a fair few tackles and a fair few interceptions. I don't love him to get an assist, but in terms of cash game performance, guaranteed points, Andros Townsend, there's hardly any better in the Premier League when he's on his day. So up front, I've gone for a newcomer to the Premier League, Manolo Gabbiadini, $8,100 on DraftKings. He's expensive. You look at his goal record over the last few games, and that's the reason why. 5 goals now. He got 2 in the EFL Cup final. Should have had a hat-trick as well. That third one that got disallowed was a disgraceful decision from the linesman because he quite clearly was onside. But Gabbiadini, still 5 in 3 games for Southampton, is a great return for a player who thrives on it when he's got a bit of confidence behind him. He's got that right now, so I think you pick him until he stops scoring goals. He's also got 4.5 shots per game. He has a huge amount of shots every single game in the Premier League. Watford aren't going to be able to keep him at bay. You'll just have Holebas kicking at him all game probably. But that doesn't matter because Gabbiadini, I'm backing him to score again this week, and I'm backing him to get you plenty of points for your fantasy team. So I'm going to finish off the team with a couple of absolute bargains, actually. Well, I think they are anyway. Jamie Vardy, 5,900, is my second striker in my team this week. And if you look at his last 2 games, there's no reason not to pick him. 3 goals now in his last 2 games, which was 1 out in Seville, which was a lovely little finish from a cross. And then last Monday, against Liverpool, it was vintage Vardy. It was that playing on the last shoulder of the defender stuff that he did so well last season. Scored a couple of goals. He's going to be one of the driving forces behind Leicester if they're going to be able to stay up. I mean, they're still Leicester really are still in the mire at the bottom of the Premier League. They've only I think scored once in 7 games, which was that last game against Liverpool. But I think they're going to get a lot of confidence from that game against Liverpool, that 3-1 win. Also, Ranieri isn't in charge, and Vardy's been acting a little bit like a bad school kid all season long, not really scoring that many goals, kicking up a fuss all the time. Without Ranieri there, I think he'll really thrive because it feels like the players are almost picking the team themselves and just telling Craig Shakespeare what to do. He's had double-digit fantasy points for the last couple of games, and I'm backing Vardy to do well again this week. So the final player in my team this week at the util position is a striker that I've been a fan of for almost as long as I can remember, even knowing he was playing. It's Fernando Llorente, 5,200. I loved him when he was at Bilbao. I loved him at Juve, now at Swansea. He's doing the business again. He's got 9 goals this season. Only been given 19 starts because perhaps hasn't been like the favourite striker of some of the managers they've had this season. But Paul Clement knows a good player when he sees one, and he's putting Llorente in there every week. The way he's linking up with Sigurdsson is an absolute joy. Get them both in your fantasy team this week because I think Swansea are having a good day at home to Burnley, and it's going to really boost their survival case because the teams below them are starting to pick up points. Palace got their win last week. Leicester won. Borough, I mean, they're the ones who you really worry about. But Swansea, I mean, they win this one. I think they're almost safe. And I think Llorente's going to have a good day. I think Sigurdsson's going to have a good day. Get them both in your team and you'll be very happy indeed. So going back through my lineup, we had Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Wes Morgan and Cedric Suarez of Southampton in defence. Went for Gylfi Sigurdsson of Swansea in midfield as my big money signing at 9,300. Then Andros Townsend of Crystal Palace returning to my side after a long time out. Up front, Manolo Gabbiadini, I'm back to have a very good game this week. Jamie Vardy of Leicester and Fernando Llorente of Swansea. So guys, that's my 8-man lineup. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up below if you liked what you saw. Plenty more videos on this channel. I try to get one up every single week. I'll try and get something up from my trip to Italy last weekend where I saw Inter versus Roma. Subscribe if you want to see all that content. Send in as many comments as you want. I'll try and reply to all of them. And remember that you can hit me up on Twitter at Jamie R. Hinks if you have any more questions. Thank you very much for watching and good luck this weekend. Goodbye.